Today we are looking at G2's Clubhouse Basement defense against Falcons. G2 turned dirt into a tunnel of fire, protected Blue with several layers of utility, and forced Falcons to search for another way into the site. And they actually found the weakest part of the entire setup. Starting with Fenrir. He reinforces two walls inside Blue before placing his bulletproof camera on top of the cabinet in Arsenal. From there, the defenders gain a surprisingly wide overview of the hallway, the right side of Arsenal, and parts of Blue. Fenrir then spreads his 4 dread mines across the most likely entry points. One goes underneath the Blue hatch, another covers the lobby entrance, the third is placed underneath the Moto hatch, and his final mine goes into stock, which is also where Fenrir begins the round. He is the first layer of delay. He only needs to force Falcons to drone him, clear his utility, and spend valuable time pushing him away. Once the pressure becomes too heavy, he can safely drop through the hatch and transition back toward the site. He becomes a secondary Blue defender, supporting Azami and holding toward the Blue hallway. On the opposite side of the map, Goyo is building a completely different kind of defense. He reinforces the church wall facing the hallway and places one Vulcan canister toward Moto, but the other 3 all go directly into dirt. This transforms the tunnel into a heavily layered defensive position. Goyo can begin near the front, activate the first canister as the attackers approach, and then slowly fall back. If Falcons continue moving forward, a second canister is already waiting behind the first position, and then there is still one more after that. His real job is to make a tunnel execute as slow, uncomfortable, and expensive as possible. Azami reinforces both CCTV walls on the second floor. She places barbed wire inside the Blue hallway and near Blue stairs, slowing down 2 of the most common approaches into the area, before using her Kiba barriers inside storage and church. These barriers give her additional cover and allow her to create small, protected angles toward Blue. She is the primary Blue player. Mute has the most unusual role in the entire setup. He opens the rotation from hallway into Arsenal, creates 2 separate connections between Church and Blue, and opens another rotation between Church and the Moto hallway. Mute also places a jammer beside the right wall before it gets reinforced, while his remaining jammers cover the kitchen hallway entrance and both sides of kitchen.
Left before insertion. Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Finally, he opens the kitchen hatch. But the most interesting part of Mute's role is not what he does during the preparation phase. It is what he does after the round begins. Mute starts upstairs inside kitchen. He eventually drops back toward the basement, but instead of staying on site, he unexpectedly rotates upstairs again, and he does not stop in kitchen. He continues all the way toward the second floor. So the player who initially looked like a first layer of delay in kitchen suddenly becomes a late roamer, armed with an SMG-11. Finally, we have Tubaro. He reinforces the exterior breach near Gym, as well as the Gym hatch, before opening both the Moto hatch and the Blue hatch and creating additional sightlines toward Blue. Tubaro begins the round inside bar, giving the defenders a second early position away from the basement. Just like Fenrir inside stock, his job is to create early pressure and take time away from the attackers before eventually falling back. When we zoom out and divide the entire site into individual areas, the structure of the defense becomes much clearer. Dirt has essentially been turned into a fire tunnel. Goyo has 3 Vulcan canisters placed directly across the attacker's path, meaning that even if Falcons force him away from his first position, they still cannot simply run toward Church. Blue is protected in a completely different way. Azami is the primary defender, using her Kiba barriers to create protected angles, while Fenrir can support her after dropping from stock. Mute's rotations allow both players to reposition between Blue, Church, and Arsenal, making it difficult for Falcons to predict exactly where the next gunfight will come from. Moto is also protected by overlapping utility. Fenrir has a dread mine underneath the hatch. Goyo has a Vulcan canister covering the area, and Azami can support from the Church side. Blue, Dirt, and Moto all have multiple defensive layers, but there is one noticeably weaker part of the setup. Main stairs and the kitchen hatch are not protected nearly as heavily, and more importantly, nobody is permanently playing inside Arsenal underneath kitchen. If Falcons can take kitchen control and safely drop the hatch, they can bypass a large part of the blue and dirt defense.
And I think having users on the Dockerby here, along with Doom on the shield, is a really good way of making sure they can force control of these parts of the map. Risk that Doki's got is naturally when a drone sees you when you take a gunfight, you have to move. They're going to know you're there. They're going to start punishing you. And Doki, by the skin of his teeth, gets away with this one. This is what I mean. Once they know where you are, Tim, you're dead to rights. You have to move. He's lucky to get away alive.
Falcons first have to deal with Fenrir inside stock. Blitz pushes him aggressively and even manages to blind him. But despite being flashed, he still reaches the hatch. Falcons missed an extremely important opening kill. Removing Fenrir would not only have given them the first pick, but it would also have weakened the blue defense later in the round. Azami is fortunate as well, because at the exact moment Blitz pressures Fenrir, she is sitting on cameras directly underneath the stock hatch.
Hard ones, let alone the easy ones. G2 do get themselves now completely back down to sight, apart from Benja, who's up on that top floor. Falcons, are you aware? Do you have a plan in place? No, they know, they're watching the window.
No, they're only slightly though.
He's got underneath it though.
Oh, he's got away with that one there. That's a painful one.
Falcons fail to properly secure their flank, allowing Mute to rotate back upstairs and move through areas the attackers should already control. There is no player watching the rotation, no immediate response, and nobody in position to punish him. A late roam can always be dangerous, but it should never be this free.
Versus 4 on site itself, but held back by the Goyo canisters. G2's throwing them down, and now Benja is above, ready to cause a bit of a headache for them. Has a C4 in hand, but he can deny that hatch being open. This is a problem now for Falcons.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking to get the drop, and even if they go down, he can attack from 2 floors.
Meanwhile, Falcons have correctly identified the most important weakness in the defense. They adapt and decide to execute through the kitchen hatch. Falcons do not have any smokes, and without visual cover, the kitchen hatch is not a safe drop. Tubaro has a completely clear line of sight from the basement. Tubaro gets the first kill, and then immediately finds the second. The read was correct, the execution was incomplete. At the same time, the dirt defense is working exactly as intended. Blitz tries to force his way through the tunnel, but this is the route Goyo spent the entire preparation phase building. The Vulcan canister activates and completely stops the push. Falcons wait for the fire to disappear, move forward again, and then another section of the tunnel is immediately covered in flames. Every canister creates another delay. Every delay removes more time from the round, and every second makes the final execute more desperate. By the end of the round, Hibana is left completely alone inside dirt. She has no teammates around her and almost no time remaining. You almost have to feel bad for her. Oh, and in case you were wondering what happened to the 5th attacker, the recruit, he tried to enter through the bar hatch. But the dread mine underneath it activated as he dropped, and while he was disoriented by the effect, Azami was handed another completely free kill. Falcons successfully found the gap, but finding a weakness is only the first step. You still need the tools to exploit it. Without smokes, their best opportunity of the round became the moment that completely destroyed their attack. Pro teams do not always try to make every part of a site equally strong. They invest most of their utility into the routes they expect the attackers to use, and then rely on information, rotations, and positioning to punish anyone who tries to attack the gap.
Tried the same thing as in round 2. They tried to say,